on this Diwali special episode of The Money Show, and it's a Diwali Darbar that we have put up for you today, where we'll be doing your life financial planning and also helping you understand all the crucial financial aspects of Diwali. I have a very fantastic panel today where we'll be focusing on the financial aspects of our viewers, investment aspect of their portfolio, and also talking about the financial behavior that needs to be included or that needs to be added in their entire financial portfolio and also in their entire financial life. I have with me Eka Chaturvedi Banerjee, CEO Future Learning. I have Arnab Pandya, founder Money Edu School, and Anushka Rathod, influencer. Good evening and wish you all a very happy Diwali. Before I dive into our viewer queries, where we'll be dissecting the financial approach that they need to have for their financial portfolio and also the kind of financial behavior or investment behavior that they need to adopt with a touch of mytho, which I think Eka will play that role for us today. Arnab, let me begin with you and let me understand. Let's do a roundup of Samvat 2080 and what we should be expecting from Samvat 2081.
Very happy Diwali to you, Kavita, to your entire team and all the viewers who are watching this show. So if we go back to the Samvat year which has just passed, what we saw was that if you look at various asset classes, the rally and the optimism which was there for the past few years has continued. So you have seen that right up till a month ago, equities were doing very well. If you see the overall scenario has come in debt, then the entire economy is moving towards a situation where going forward, the RBI is slowly over a period of time likely to bring down interest rates, which will be a big relief for various borrowers. If you look at gold, gold has also continued its stupendous run and hit new highs, not only locally, but also in the international markets. So overall, even though this was a year where we saw a lot of uncertainty because of the general elections within the country, we saw a situation where there was high geopolitical tension in the Middle East because of the Israel Hamas and then the Israel Hezbollah and now the Israel Iran fights which are going on. So in spite of all these things, foreign investors, this was a good year which has gone by. But going forward in 2081, what investors should expect is a moderation of various themes that they have seen. For example, if you see over the past 1 month, equities have started to moderate a bit. You have seen a bit of pullback in the small caps, mid caps. So investors need to be cautious on that front. As I said earlier, in terms of the debt situation, rates are slowly likely to come down over a period of time during this year. And as long as the global uncertainties remain, gold as an investment will remain pretty strong. So these are the things which one has to look out for, but there will be even more increased uncertainties. We have the US presidential election coming up, and we do not know of the various additional challenges which will also arise.
All right, so this was the financial aspect of it, but then Eka, let me come to you. Let's understand more about Vikram Samvat 2081. I was reading somewhere, and Vikram Samvat 2081 is also called Kal Yukta or Kali Yukta, and there is a specific tithi on which it's falling. So what's the significance? If I just want to understand that aspect of this new Vikram Samvat.
So you'd actually be surprised at the origin of Vikram Samvat.
Huh.
So Vikram Samvat actually has no, so of course there is a whole solar calendar and a lunar calendar that we've been following. But जो हमारे शक संवत या विक्रम संवत होते हैं, they are actually linked to the name of one king.
Okay.
So while the tithis have significance that are about planetary alignment, that are about how planetary positions shift, that are about the impact of various planets on our physical bodies, our emotional bodies, our economic bodies, our intellectual bodies, but the tithi or the calendar in isolation The idea of the Vikram Samvat is actually it's an idea that's an independent idea. Now, as far as the planets and the planetary alignments is concerned, the fact is that starting August this year, around the period of Ganpati, around Ganesh Chaturthi, is when the planets have finally taken a massive, massive shift. We spoke just now about all the conflict and the strife that we've been seeing, the disease and the pain that we've been seeing, and everything that's happened in the last couple of years. That was a cycle that started way back in August 2019. What we have seen in August 2024 is a complete turnaround of that cycle. And therefore, जो आप कलियुग की बात कर रहे हैं, कलियुग की बात कर रहे हैं, और ये जो तिथि आ रही हैं, that is actually linked to one cycle of the जिसको हम महादशा कहते हैं, it is linked to that mahadasha, that cycle of the planets, which we are now getting into. So this cycle turned around in August, around Ganpati. That's when the planetary positions really aligned. And what we're going to see now, starting August until the next 3 years, until the next 4 years, is going to be the cycle of absolute growth and majesty. And you will notice this, by the way, across markets, across personal lives, across relationships, across health, across everything. So that's the transition that has happened. And that's that Kali Yukta Tithi jiska aap transition ki baat kar rahi hain.
It's very interesting. So a lot of good news coming up, and a good time to actually plan to make your wealth also. Anushka, one comment from you on this, and then we will look into our viewer queries also. So your expectations from summer 2081, Anushka.
I am a long-term investor, and as a long-term investor, I continue to invest in the equity market.
Sure.
Of course, now I'm not doing a lot of lump sum investments, considering even though the markets have corrected a bit right now, it's this situation where the markets have corrected, but my watch list or the stocks that I want to invest in, or good fundamental stocks have, they're still not trading at a value which I will say is very cheap, or is, somewhere where I see a lot of margin of growth. But I would continue with my SIPs, and I would say no one can predict the markets. As retail investors, we should continue with our SIPs, and if there is a correction or if something happens, we should just double down, and we're all bullish.
All right, let's begin with our viewer questions, and let's take Preksha's question. Arnav, let me begin with you, because Preksha says that she is a single mother. She earns around 50K per month, and she wants to start investing for her daughter. And how should she do this? Like, first step towards making a financial portfolio.
So if you look at the situation, one of the main areas is that you need to have a very specific goal, which becomes your starting point for your entire financial planning. And in this case, since the money is for her daughter's use, there still needs to be a little more work in terms of what kind of goal is this and when it has to be achieved. So whenever we look at goals, we look at two main factors there. What is the amount which is required for this, and when is it required? Because that is going to determine the extent or the manner in which you do the asset allocation between various assets and where the money actually goes. So my request to her would be to first focus on these aspects, and then as a second step, since she is a new investor, the most ideal way to go about it would be through the use of mutual funds, because what you get in a mutual fund are two main advantages. One is that for a very small amount, you get the benefit of a diversified portfolio, which is not there for a single investment. Say, for example, you want to invest 3,000 or 5,000 rupees. With that same amount, if you go to a specific individual asset class, you will get just one or two holdings, while in a mutual fund, you get a diversified portfolio. Second, and most important, is that you get the benefit of professional fund management, which takes away your worry, which takes away your tension, and makes you free to concentrate on your savings part and how you will accumulate the amounts which you need to invest. So if she approaches the entire investment in this way, it will be a good way to start her investment journey.
Anushka, what should be the approach for Preksha according to you?
You're asking me, right?
Anushka?
Okay,
Anushka.
yeah. Yeah, again, as it was mentioned by Arnavji also, you should first identify what your goals are, and how that will help you is it will help you determine what your time horizon is. Now, according to your time horizons, you can then see what instruments suit you. Now, assuming your daughter is below the age of 10 and you do have a longer time horizon, then you can consider Sukanya Samriddhi scheme, which is specially made for female daughters, and in that you can invest a certain amount, you get tax benefits under section 80C. You're currently getting an 8.2% interest also on it, which is also tax free, and the amount the scheme will be it'll go on till for 21 years, or when your daughter gets married, and you can also withdraw it after she turns 18 for her education or marriage. So that's a brilliant schemes for our daughters. Apart from that, if you have a long-term time horizon, like Arnavji mentioned, you can start with simple index funds, which are simple index funds, or
Right.
with time you can also include flexi cap funds.
Sure. Eka, I want to come to you because you are going to add a very interesting angle to this question, in fact, to all our viewer queries. We are definitely helping them financially, but then in terms of financial behavior, and if I can get a small aspect of mytho, fundamentally, because that will help our viewers get a stronger hold on their financials. Eka.
Kavita, I will always take a long-term view on this, and it'll always be derived from our scriptures. But what I do agree with Arnaji, and what I do agree with Anushka, is about the idea of having a goal. Lakshmi comes from the concept of Lakshya itself. So have your Lakshya and follow it through. But what I find fascinating, especially if you're investing for a younger child, for your daughter, I think it would be interesting to also involve her in the process. हम लोग की लाइफ के 4 आश्रम होते हैं. So the first ashram that we have is the brahmacharya. Now, brahmacharya is the stage of learning. And that's the stage of figuring out how things work, when they work, what's happening in the instruments, listening, finding out what's happening, doing little experiments with it. उसके बाद का एक स्टेज होता है गृहस्थ, which is when you actually do, compound, grow, preserve, and expand your horizons and your wealth. After which we step into the Vanaprastha stage, which is the stage where you sort of consolidate, where you focus on the blue chips, the larger stocks. If she's a young child, I wouldn't start with blue chips right now. That stage will come later. But what I would start, and then of course there's the sannyas, which is the stage at which you just give away and create your legacy around it. So if I have a young daughter, and by the way, that's what I did when our daughters were very little. We actually started engaging them in that conversation, the financial conversation. Not forgetting the power of compounding. What we did from the time that they were about 5 or 8 to now when they're about 20 and 22 is we've allowed them access to their portfolios, create dummy portfolios, learn to play the market, some with real money, some with what the kids call fake money, but notionally. And then what I'm hoping to do as they step into, because obviously we've met their needs, this is for them. हमारे financial planning क्या थी to make sure that the kids' education was funded was a separate portfolio, so to speak. But I do believe that we've also capacitized and built our kids and their capabilities into stepping into the world of financial investments and understanding Lakshmi and being able to be a Lakshmi worshipper and to make sure that Lakshmi flows in them and through them through learning all this while they were in the brahmacharya. And जो भी हमारा portfolio हमने उनके लिए रखा था, that is what we'll give them next when they're about 25ish and they step into grihastha and actively do and compound and play around and have fun with their portfolios as they grow it.
All right. So point to note for a lot of first-time investors. But let's slip into a quick break, and post that, let's take Ravi's question, who says that his father is retired and want to park all his money in real estate, and Ravi wants his father to opt for equity. So how can the second generation plan finances for the first generation or for their parents? We'll deep dive into this after this break. Welcome back back. It's a Diwali special on the Money Show today, and let's continue with our viewer queries. Let's take Ravi's question. Ravi says that his father is retired and has a corpus of 1 CR. He wants to put that money in real estate, and Ravi wants his father to invest that money across asset classes, and he wants our help to explain his father as to how can he think and go beyond real estate. And a very important question, and equity, especially if you've not invested, if you've not experienced the volatility, you will be slightly scared. But Ravi has a very pure intent of helping his father grow his money, his entire corpus. So how can he go about it?
So there are two aspects here. One is that it's natural that there are various behavioral biases that come into play when we are handling money. So one is the fact that most people are very comfortable with what they have experienced. So it is likely that Ravi's father has a good experience with real estate or is comfortable with that, and which is why he wants to put money there. But the whole process, when you look at financial planning and investing, is that never put everything in a single basket. So do not put all your eggs in one basket, and which is why you need to spread it out over various asset classes. The risk is that a problem in just a single asset or an area can lead to your entire money getting locked in. The other point also is that real estate is also illiquid in that sense. So it also becomes a problem if you need money at a short interval. At the same time, one should not also go to the second extreme where you have a very high equity component, because it might not suit the situation for someone who's slightly older and who has retired. So the ideal situation would be a mix in the portfolio. And now we have various options. Like, for example, if you want an exposure to real estate, if you want regular income from real estate, you also have the choice of real estate investment trust. You can also use debt through the mutual fund route for these kind of portfolios. For a senior citizen, there is also the senior citizen savings scheme. You can also have a small bit of equity within the portfolio also, because if you are going to have a long lifespan, then you need that equity boost in the portfolio to beat inflation. So if you do this in a diversified manner, chances are that over a period of time, the portfolio will grow and at the same time provide you exactly the money in the form which you need it.
All right, quickly, Eka, what's your take on this?
देखिए, आई वुड एक्चुअली वॉक अप टू माय फादर एंड से कि भाई दीपावली का टाइम है, आप वेल्थ है, आपके पास एक रीजनेबली डिसेंट साइज पोर्टफोलियो है, कॉर्पस है, एंड दीपावली का टाइम है, बहुत अच्छा टाइम है इन्वेस्टमेंट करने के लिए, क्योंकि लक्ष्मी जी जो खुद हैं वो भी मैनिफेस्ट होती हैं अष्टलक्ष्मी के फॉर्म में. सो एक्सप्लेनिंग टू माय फादर कि देखिए, लक्ष्मी जी खुद भी खाली रियल एस्टेट में, खाली कैश में, खाली गोल्ड में नहीं प्रेजेंट होती हैं. लक्ष्मी जी इवन बाय हर ओन सेल्फ, शी इज प्रेजेंट इन आदि लक्ष्मी, इन मोक्ष एंड इन डिवोशन. शी इज प्रेजेंट इन संतान एंड योर चिल्ड्रन. शी इज प्रेजेंट इन धन, wealth, cash, gold, jewelry, in dhanya, which is land, real estate, farm stock. She's present in gaja, in animal husbandry, looking after the animals. She's present in Vijay Lakshmi, in war, in ammunition. She's present in Dhairya Lakshmi. She's present in Vijay. She's present in Vidya Lakshmi. She's present in knowledge, in education stocks. She's present in just Dhairya and patience. So there are so many manifestations that Lakshmi ji has. So Ravi, you might want to talk to your father about saying, ki, bhai, why are you restricting yourself and your manifestation of Lakshmi only to real estate? At least trust Lakshmi herself to be present across so many asset categories and discover, grow, invest your wealth and celebrate your wealth and celebrate Lakshmi ji as you can explore her in all the other asset classes, whether it's equities. And in equities, pick up your stocks, pick up the sectors you want to work with. In debt, as Arnab, you said, pick up where you want to lend your money to, even if it's as a retail investor. So Ravi, I would actually go to my father and say, ki Pidaji, let's be true to the spirit of Lakshmi ji and Ashtalakshmi on this Deepavali, and let's have her manifest herself across all the asset classes that she's present in.
Anushka, let's get on to Meena's query, and Meena says that she's a first-time investor and she needs your help in understanding the do's and don'ts when it comes to equity investing.
Let's start with the don'ts. The first don't will be don't do any futures and options, don't do direct stock investing. And this is because futures and options, as a first time investors, there's a very high chance that you will make a loss. It might be very tempting, but that's not how you go about it. Even direct stock investments, it can get a little tricky to identify these stocks and to when to hold it to, how to diversify your portfolio. So the best way to invest in the equities as a first time investor is to do boring things for a very long period of time. Now that boring thing is actually to identify, and as a first time investor, identify a good index fund, stick with it and keep investing in it. With time, you can also introduce, say, a flexi cap fund or a small cap fund. But whenever, there are market fluctuations, don't panic. All you need to do is ensure that you're quarterly or every 6 months revisiting your portfolio and ensuring that it still aligns with your goals, and just sticking with what your plan is and not panicking or not panic selling when the markets go down. So just do boring things for a very long period of time, and that's exactly how you should approach as a first time investor to ensure that you get the benefit of compounding and you grow your wealth.
Arnav, anything to add over there?
Just a couple of things. One is keep your expectations realistic. Don't go overboard. And two is that consider it that the money has been invested for a very long time, and don't look at it every day as to what is happening. That can only cause you a lot of worry and tension, nothing more. It won't change the performance of your funds.
Eka?
देखिए, I probably take a slightly contrarian view on this to say कि भाई the fact is जब हम कुछ करना शुरू करते हैं तो उसमें
Right.
गलतियां होती हैं. In fact, again, I go back to Lakshmi है, wealth है. We're discussing material, immaterial, non-material, cash, gold, wealth, etc. The fact is, Lakshmi ji herself emerged from the Samudra Manthan. For the Samudra Manthan to happen, people put in all their resources to begin with, the Deva, the Asura. And then there was that slow churn that happened. Mistakes were made, fights were had, halahal came first, poison came out, all kinds of things happened, mistakes were made, everything happened. And then finally came, Lakshmi was also, by the way, just one of the byproducts that emerged from the process of churn, from the process of manthan, from the process of practice. And then finally you got to the Amrita. So I'm saying it's okay. Allow yourself that space to make mistakes as long as you're going in with the right attitude, the right learner attitude. And the Kathopanishad describes the right learner attitudes as these 6 qualities. They're called the Shad Sampat. The first is Shama, which is calm your mind. The second is Dama, which is calm your senses. The third is Uparati, which is be content. So don't get very greedy. The fourth is Titiksha, which is acceptance. Ki jo ho raha hai, there is a concept of karma ki jo ho raha hai, uske karma phal, there will be consequences. The idea of Shraddha, which is go to it with full devotion, go to it with proficiency, with efficiency, with consistency. And the last of it is the idea of samadhan, which is focus. So be prepared for it. These things will happen. You will have goal clarity, but just go with the right attitude and allow yourself some mistakes. Have fun with it.
All right, I think we've tried to cover as much as we can, but then I'm sure there's a lot that we cannot because it's time bound. But thank you so much for being on the show today and helping our viewers, not only with the financial portfolio, but also the approach that they should be taking according to our scriptures in their entire financial and investment journey. Thank you so much for being on the show. And it's a wrap on this Diwali special of the Money Show as well. But to all our viewers, a very happy Diwali. And yes, you can keep sending us your questions on our WhatsApp number and our email ID. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.